Hello, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for your support of Indie Agency News. And now let's meet an indie agency. I think this agency, and they're far away, but they're very close to me. I've always loved the name of this agency. It's the gentleman from Superfly. Please introduce yourselves.
I'm Rich Goodstone, co-founder of Superfly.
Richard Black. I'm president and GM of the agency.
Okay, so I got Rich and I got Richard. Okay, so now did one of you have to say, all right, I'm going to be Richard, then I'm going to be Rich? Or how did that work? Or were you both called that before?
Fortunately, we have like 7 or 8 Richards in the company. And so we've split it up a bunch. There's a Rick, and then we started going into like mixtures of Rickich.
Okay.
He got the bottom of the barrel, but he's a really cool dude, so it works out fine.
Okay, I love it. And you guys are in New York. And when were you founded?
Started the company in 1996, although we really weren't doing any agency work at that particular time. We really were more of a concert promoter, working on special events and things of that nature, and focused on just creating great experiences that were more monetized and selling tickets to them.
Oh, right. Now it's all coming back to me. You can see the color of my hair. Sometimes I forget things. So now what would you say your agency is best known for?
I mean, experiences, large-scale cultural experiences, monetized experiences of all shapes and sizes. But in general, we've always been at that leading edge of culture. Came from a music background, but really as we evolved and grew as an organization, just started following our own passion points, and that kind of took us through, the arts and culinary and film and TV. And so in general, it's been pretty just natural by following our own passions and the things that we love to do. We realized that a lot of the brands were trying to have a similar level of influence with their audiences, and we were able to try to fill that need.
Yeah, makes total sense. What would you say now? Every agency they do a lot of things, right? And they do a lot of things very, very well. Drilling it down into your top 3 core strengths, what would you say those top 3 strengths are?
Experiential, by and far with probably the widest definition.
Right.
After that, it would be really location-based experiences, really dealing with other people's IP, whether that's properties that we take on ourselves, like Friends, The Office, Harry Potter, Magic at Play, or Prince. So
right.
Understanding and monetizing, IP. Those are probably our 2 top biggest strengths. I think the other thing would just be, as Rich said, the people that really work here and thrive here really are on the pulse of what's happening in culture. They're just really living it every day. I know it's very contrived. A lot of agencies talk about it, but when you look at some of the cultural moments that have been created by this company, Rich is really, humble. This is the company that started Bonnaroo.
Right.
The company that, owns and operates Outside Lands. So when you kind of look across things that have happened in culture, we've been there and helped build those things. BravoCon is something else that we helped build for NBC. So that's, I think, really when you look at the business, it's really experiences and really how those connect into culture.
Did you say Friends? Did you do the thing on 23rd? That experience on 23rd?
Yeah.
I stayed at a hotel, kitty corner from that. I stayed at that hotel. I had a corner room, and I'm looking down, and I see everybody lining up. I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the idea in general is, people didn't get to experience the things that they were most passionate about, especially as it relates to TV and film in more visceral ways. And so that's been happening for a little bit, but we believe we're trying to take it to just a new inflection point with the ability to kind of immerse yourself in the sets, the props, the experiences of those shows, and more appreciate them from a sensory perspective.
Right. So you ended up in the middle of the couch at Central Perk, right? Is that right, Rich?
That's where we hope you wind up. We've got a pass.
Yeah, it's still running, right?
It's still open. It's been open for a couple of years now. And
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
and so the business is diverse in that regard. I mean, when you kind of talk about the three things that we do best, it's end-to-end experiences,
Right.
and everything
Right.
that is encompassed in that, from the strategic side of it, the blueprint side, just thinking through the monetization strategies, the marketing strategies, the ticketing strategies, building the experiences, whether they're ticketed or not. But there's a lot of pieces that come with that, right? So in some ways it's broad, it's in other ways it's just one thing that we've been doing for 25
Right.
years.
Yep, makes sense. I want to get into the indie thing, and everyone likes, and I understand this. Everyone says we can move faster. It's we can do things a little bit differently as an independent. But why is being an independent important to your team?
I think for the people that do really well here, there's obviously we don't have we're not layered. We're about 55 people in total in the company. So if you really want to get in and work with the clients, and it's kind of what we offer to our clients, they get access to myself and Rich and like our ECD and others. So we're just not on the org chart. We actually are connected to the business and work really closely, I think, because we all really love the business. So we're not have like this huge hierarchy in place. It's kind of a flat organization.
Mm-hmm.
We have leadership, but I think that's really part of it. It kind of goes back to when before I joined, Rich and I would talk about it. It was him and the partners, founders created things that they wanted to go to as fans, and so I think people that work here and succeed here really are just fans of the kind of work that we do. And they get really excited about, this. We're not making TVCs, right? We're not making banner ads, but we're building experiences and they get to be inside them. And I think that is a real allure to the talent.
Right. And I'll ask about talent here in a second, but I want to get into what brands should know about working with you. What would you say is the one main reason a brand should work with you? I know you covered a lot of territory, but what's like the big reason the brand should work with you?
I think when you look at like our history, it really all starts with strategy. Like usually the first thing we do is figure out like what is really your experiential strategy. So we tend to do best with brands who want to take their brand out in the world and try to figure out how to connect and how to sort of really be, how to become like brand fans and really drive that fandom for their brand. Mm-hmm. That all starts with strategy. And then it's kind of unparalleled when you stand at Outside Lands and you look at 85,000 people watching a show, then you realize like, wow, the power of production and the scale of what we're able to do, and to kind of what you referenced from, Friends. It's never a question of our production capabilities. So I think the best place for a brand to, is really to think about what's your strategy and why, how to use experiences to connect to fans.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Rich, anything to add to that?
Well, I'll give the founder answer. I mean, we're entrepreneurs at heart. We're not just an agency, so we create our own cultural experiences. We license, as that's what the relationship is with something like a Friends or a Harry Potter. And I think we're just doing it for the right reasons. And it seems really cliche because when I read every website out there that does similar things, they all say the same things. So I don't want to sound like everyone else does, but honestly, we're trying to really do things that are special, and doing it on our own. And brands are usually, whenever we talk to them, they're trying to do the same things that we are, except they're having it ladder up to another business model, right? At the end of the day, the things that we do, our P&L for experiences sits by itself. It's a business in and of itself. Outside Lands is a business, and when we work with brands, their marketing experiences. Sometimes they're monetized, sometimes they're not, but they've got other brand goals, right? So how do you take a brand and what it stands for, break that down to an experience strategy, but still have the same level of impact on the people, the audiences that are coming as you would if they wanted to buy this from anybody else, not just necessarily a brand itself. So hopefully we're doing the right things because it kind of came out of just a unique expertise, not because of an agency. The idea of being a part of a larger agency, it's almost like an impossibility. We're not a company like that to be bought by an IPG or an Omnicom. even though sometimes we wind up in similar conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully we're hiring the right people for those types of things. That's why Richard's here, because he's done it for such a long time.
Right.
We were flying by the seat of our pants for years as an agency. We want this. We're like, how about this? You know,
Right, right.
No, there's a box here. We gotta. So no, there's a box here, right? It's about your brand, right? So we brought in all these people to kind of take our creative, soapbox and wanting to do so many special things, and made sure that it would fit in the right environment with the right processes. And Richard's done an exceptional job of kind of bringing us to the place where the process is just as good as the results, because we've never had challenges with the results. The process has been the piece that had to catch up to make us as effective as we are right now.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And you brought up talent a couple of times. Why should talent put Superfly on their list?
I mean, think about the 50 plus people that we have here. I think the reality that they get to actually do things at this agency or this company well in advance ahead of their career. So, whether you're like an EA or an account coordinator or an art director, like we put you in front of our clients. You're involved in like creating the work. You get the opportunity to go work on site in like real meaningful, roles. So if you want to learn the business of experiences from the inside out, this is a great place to do that, especially I think in your early years. And a lot of our folks, we have folks that literally started with us at Bonnaroo, or their first experience was volunteering at Bonnaroo. And fast forward today, like they're running all of our accounts. So it's like for the individuals that really want to be part of the culture and really want to, be a part of the things that we create, it's a really great place to be.
Yeah, no, I trust me, I get it. Having been in radio for a long time, and I know what it's like to get one's hands dirty. Trust me. This last question, and this is a little bit of a thought experiment. This could be a current client or a CMO or a marketer that you want to work with. So which CMO or marketer do you want to wave hi to?
I have one, Rich. You have one? You want me to go? I'm happy to.
I nominate Richard. Go.
Fine. Okay. So Davide Grasso, he's now the CEO of Maserati.
Okay.
He came from Converse and he was the CMO at Nike. And so, he's taken over a brand that has 100+ years of heritage and has had a lot of challenges like reliability and other things. So I'm just really curious as to, kind of where he'll take that brand. I think a lot of the brands that we work with are sitting on a tremendous amount of IP. And, maybe some of that IP in the way that like where it sits in culture or where it sits in people's history and minds. I think it's really fascinating for experiential to make that emotional connection. So he's got there's a famous Phil Knight quote, and I leave this for you too, Doug, like, don't aim to be the biggest, but to be the best. And so I'm just really curious as I start to follow him and kind of see what he does with the brand. That's someone that I, kind of.
As someone who's half Italian,
There you go.
I know all about unreliable Italian vehicles. Rich, your CMO or marketer?
It's a tough question. I feel like I'll just give you a category. I think that just a tremendous amount of follow the leader in the financial categories. So like I would just say, what we want to try and do is make brands a part of culture in ways that maybe they feel like there might be guidelines to how things are done, right? You see it all the time with like, especially with like things like cars and TV, right? It's the van, it's going across the, some sort of lake, and then it crosses onto a mountain. And I don't actually understand why everyone feels they have to do the exact same thing as everybody else. But I feel like finance has been a category for that, especially as it relates to experiences. I think Chase has been starting to do some really interesting things with the acquisition of the infatuation stuff. But for the most part, I think that category has been very much behind this wall of, hey, we're stodgy. That's how people think of us. That's how our events have to be. And I think that there's a whole platform to open up and be a lot more meaningful and kind of speak to people. So I would say that's a category we've done a bunch with and we want to do a lot more with.
Okay. Richard, you were right. Rich is very humble because you just went out and busted out Bonnaroo, and so Rich, I give you a lot of credit for your restraint. But I've enjoyed the heck out of talking to you when my travels take me to New York. I'm definitely going to see you, and we'll talk a little bit about the music business. I've had 15 years of that, so I, I completely get it. But thank you so much for joining us on Meet an Indie Agency. Best wishes for continued success, and thanks for joining us today.
Appreciate that.
Thanks for having us.